For life's most important answers finally questioned. Actually, I think that's wrong. Let me try this again. For life's most important questions finally answered. This is The Glog, and I am your host, Mac. Hi, you guys. Mac here, yet again, for another installment of The Glog. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys will enjoy this episode. This is more of an unscripted episode, I guess you could say. I didn't really plan on making this episode today, but this, topic kind of came to me recently, and I really just wanted to bring it up and address it, and I hope you guys will enjoy the ride. So today, we're going to be taking a look at Matthew chapter 7. So if you have a Bible and you want to flip to it, or you can just follow along, either way works for me. We're going to be talking about Matthew 7, verse 6. And verse 6 goes like this: "Do not give what is holy to dogs. They will only turn and attack you. Do not throw your pearls in front of pigs. They will only trample them underfoot." So this verse is, it's told by Jesus to his disciples, and he's telling them not to give holy or precious things to animals that don't really care. Dogs don't care about things that are holy, and pigs could care less about pearls. Personally, for me, I'm not a salad person. I really do not like salad. So if someone put a salad in front of me, I wouldn't appreciate it as much as someone who really understands salad and the dressings and the condiments and the toppings of a salad. To me, I don't like salad, so I would not give two hoots about a really fancy salad in front of me. That's just how I am, and you can probably think of plenty of examples for yourself. The point is, animals don't understand the holy and precious things that we understand as human beings. And where am I going with this? Well, the inspiration for this glog kind of came to me when I was actually listening to an evangelist by the name of Ray Comfort. Now, you may have or may not have heard of Ray Comfort. He's kind of a notorious figure in the Christian community now. He is most known for being the Banana Man. He's a very charismatic, very entertaining guy. You can find him here on YouTube. But what I really wanted to talk about is a video he made recently where he addressed this verse. And most people, when they hear about not casting pearls to pigs, they mostly think of, don't waste your time with people who don't want to hear what you have to say. That's basically what most people think. And myself included, I've always thought that verse meant, don't bother with certain people. But if you really think about that logic, it can be a bit faulty, because we're called to tell everyone, share the good news of Jesus with the entire world, and there's no one who's not worthy of receiving this message. Or, on the flip side, if you want to take it in the reverse, no one is worthy to receive this message because it's just so good, and therefore God calls everyone to accept this free gift. So, what I'm getting to here is that Ray Comfort basically talked about how we can make the gospel, to make the pearl appealing to the animal. And by animal, so I have to clarify, like I said, this was kind of an unscripted episode, but bear with me. So in the analogy, if we go back again to the verse in question, do not give what is holy to dogs, and do not throw your pearls in front of pigs. So the animals, the dogs and the pigs, represent those that receive the message of salvation, of the gospel, this precious message. I'm having tongue twist today. Precious message. And they don't quite understand it. They don't see the value in it, so therefore they don't care. And we have this holy, this pearl, this gem of a message, the most important message of good news that we could possibly comprehend, yet they don't care. So I do think there is a point in which we have to let God deal with certain people. In Matthew 10:14, it reads, "If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake the dust off your feet." What this verse is getting at is telling the disciples that there is a point, if people are not listening to your message, shake the dust off your feet and move on. You can try to evangelize and tell someone and share the good news with someone, but they just might not be receptive of it, and it's not up to us to save souls. People are always saying, well, if I could just save their soul, if I could just save this person, help this person. And as much as we love and want to help people, we are not in charge of saving souls. We are more or less in charge of planting seeds. We share this great good news with people, and God works on their hearts. We are not heart changers, even if we want to be. And I think it's actually better that God leaves that up to himself, because we don't have the authority to do so. So remember that everyone is able to hear this gospel message, the good news about Jesus. And you can watch a video that I've done on the good news, but essentially it is the fact that Jesus Christ died for us, rose again, and if we believe in him, we are forgiven of our sins and can live eternally with God. That's the basic essential message, but I did a full video covering it as well if you're interested. But with this pearl, pig, dog, holy analogy that we're seeing here in Matthew 7, we have to understand that in order to make the pearl appealing to the pig, we have to show the pig why it needs the pearl. We have to show the pig why the pearl is so special and so important. If you've ever flown, I was about to say driven, that's obviously wrong. If you've ever flown on a plane before, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not thinking about where the parachutes are at. That's not usually a concern when you get on the plane. Usually you're putting your luggage away. You're thinking about, are they going to bring around peanuts? Are they going to bring around Coke or Pepsi? I need to decide if I should get Dr. Pepper instead. You're worrying about those things. What time are we going to get there? We're not usually focused on where the parachutes are at. However, if the plane begins to crash or something fails, the parachutes suddenly become the most important thing on that airplane. This is something Ray Comfort talked about. Another example would be those of you who are listening or maybe not listening that use EpiPens or other medical devices that are essential to your health and life. I personally am not on an EpiPen or anything like that, but I'm sure know what these devices are. And if you don't have the device on you, it can be very bad, even fatal. So to the person who doesn't have an EpiPen like myself, an EpiPen to me doesn't have much value. Of course, I think it's valuable to those who need it. And to those people who do, it is of great value to them because they know how much power it holds over their life. What I'm getting at here is the pig doesn't care about a pearl because they can't use it. It doesn't apply to them. Pigs don't care about pearls. They care about eating and rolling around in mud. And dogs don't care about holy things. They care about, biscuits and barking and running outside. What I'm getting at, I've been getting at something for a while now. The basic point I'm getting at here is we need to share this gospel in a way that makes it pertain to everyone. And what Ray Comfort suggested is to share with them first the law and then share with them the gospel. Have you ever asked someone, would you like to hear the good news or the bad news first? You've probably asked someone that, and 9 times out of 10, they want to hear the bad news first because it makes the good news more understandable and more sweet to hear. If you just tell someone the good news, it might not matter. If you told someone, hey, guess what? We have a cure for cancer now. That would be awesome to hear, but for the person who doesn't have cancer, that's a neat thing, but it doesn't pertain to them. But if you first tell them, sir, ma'am, you are diagnosed with cancer, and then you say, but the good news is we have a cure, it becomes so much more important for that person. So if we share with people the law, and if we look at the Old Testament, you can see a major contrast in the way God uses grace. A lot of people, including myself, have often thought, why is God so different in the Old and New Testaments? Why is he so different? Because in the Old Testament, he seems so much more wrathful. He kills thousands of people. Yet in the New Testament, he's so graceful, forgiving, and peaceful. You think, are these completely different deities? No. Because God is using both grace and truth. In fact, from the moment Adam and Eve committed the very first sin, when we committed our very first sin, the wages of sin are death, and then therefore we should actually die because of that initial sin. But God is constantly overflowing with grace, and because of that, we are able to approach him. So, if you read John 1, chapter 17, verse 17, chapter. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. So we have grace and we have truth. I could do a whole video on this, but we know that grace is, getting something that we don't deserve. And the truth of, the law is that we deserve eternal separation and damnation from God because we have sinned against him. So if we share with people, and this is something that Ray Comfort does when he's doing his street evangelisms, I recommend you check out some of them. Some of them get a little elaborate, but if you watch some of his basic evangelisms, you can understand the tactics he uses. But essentially, he asks people, have you ever lied? Have you ever committed adultery? Have you ever done, yada, yada, yada? And for the Christian, we all can say, yes, we all have sinned against God, and I personally have a list of sins that I've committed against God. But if we understand how our sins condemn us, then when we hear the good news of what Jesus did for us, it makes it so much sweeter, and we go, I want that. I want that in my life. I want that covering me. So therefore, when one day I do die, I can have confidence in knowing that it's not on me, but it was on Jesus, and that is why I'm able to approach God boldly. So we have to understand that we have to share with people the bad news in order to make the good news so much sweeter. In Romans 8, verse 3, for what the law was powerless to do because it was weakened by the flesh, God did by sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh to be a sin offering. And so he condemns sin in the flesh. So what we're hearing is that the law points out how wrong we are. And I don't want to diminish the power of the law, because the law is so important. It's where we get our morals from. But we are not saved by our adherence to the law. And I guarantee you, if you tried, we would definitely fail. Because the whole point of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, something, again, I'm getting into some really juicy topics here, biting into like that juicy burger. But one of the purposes of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount is to show us how unable we are to achieve our own righteousness. He doesn't just say adultery is bad. He says if we lust, that's bad. He doesn't say that murder is horrible, but if we hate our brother or sister, that is equally as horrible. He wants to show us that we can't obtain our own righteousness and we need his grace. So when we take that pearl and show the pig how precious it can be for that pig, suddenly the pearl will be a commodity and an essential for that pig. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, it was a little all over the place, but if you got something from this, please leave a comment below, and thank you for always supporting and listening to the Glog. See you next time.